Welcome back to another riveting chapter of this engaging tale. I know you hold an eager anticipation for this story's continuation, so let us commence without delay.
A Novel First Draft. A story by Ariel Sparks. Title: Chronicle of the Seers Orb. Copyright Ariel Sparks 2025. Chapter 3. The Grand Elder Revelations.
Welcome, she declared, her voice like the coo of a nightingale in the heart of the jungle. You have come far, Theodore of Vanderwood, and you, Elder Doledric, have borne witness to much. Before them sat the Grand Elder, her rich, earthy skin seemingly ageless, despite the elaborate fan-shaped headdress that crowned her head, studded with metals that shimmered, and gems that danced with the light of the setting sun. The organic fabrics that adorned her crown were an intricate tapestry, each one a testament to the deep connection between her people and the land they revered. Her eyes, fertile with an ageless wisdom that appeared to have been cultivated by Mother Earth. She was a formidable presence, her tall stature and ample frame commanding respect. Yet it was the gentle curve of her smile and the warmth in her gaze that truly disarmed them. Her name, Arafa, rolled off the tongues of the villagers with a reverence reserved for deities, the Grand Elder of the Grove of Whispers. She had led her people through drought and famine, and her guidance was steadfast. Arafa's skin was smooth and supple, her neck adorned with a necklace of polished wooden beads that clacked softly with every movement she made. Her garments, made from the finest fabrics, were woven in patterns that mirrored the intricate dance of the roots that supported the tree above. The chamber was alive with the reverberation of the earth. Each breath they took felt like absorbing the ancient tomes. The walls, a canvas of time, were painted with the tales of their ancestors, the very essence of their history seeping into the room. The light that filtered through the canopy above painted dappled shadows across the floor, creating a dance of light and shadow that matched the rhythm of Arafa's words. Your journey must hold its own testament, she intoned. Tell me, Theodore, what is it that compels you to bring forth the Seer's orb? Theodore took a deep breath, the winds of the grove swirling around him in a gentle breeze. He recounted his daughter's tale, her eyes opening wide with every word of discovery and wonder. The way the orb had transformed her quiet, introspective nature into one filled with tales of distant lands and impossible sights. He spoke of the fear that had gripped him when he first saw the orb's power, the way it had taken her to places she could never have dreamed of. His voice grew thick with emotion as he described the joy it brought to her face and the shadows that had followed her home from those far-off lands. The Grand Elder, Arafa, listened intently, her eyes never leaving Theodore's face. The Seer's orb, she murmured, a relic of old, born of the earth's forces and the breath of the ancients. She leaned forward, her necklace of wooden beads clicking together like marbles in a purse. Your daughter is indeed blessed, or perhaps cursed. With a wave of her hand, Arafa indicated that Elder Doledric should step outside. This is a matter for the blood of the seer, she said, her voice carrying a hint of finality. Doledric looked at Theodore, a question in his eyes, but the young cartographer nodded firmly. Go, my friend, I'll tell you everything when I come out. The door to the chamber closed with a gentle thud, leaving Theodore alone with the Grand Elder. Arafa leaned back in her throne, the carved wooden chair groaning slightly under her weight. Now, she began, her smile fading into a serious expression, let us speak of the Seer's orb. Theodore's hand trembled slightly as he reached into the pack and pulled out the orb. It glowed with a gentle light, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. Arafa's eyes lit up with a mix of excitement and caution. With a gesture that was both regal and inviting, she waved her hand over the arm of her chair, where a wooden staff emerged from the shadows. At its tip was a cavity lined with the softest velvet he had ever seen, a perfect cradle for the orb. "Place it there," she said, her voice a soft command that brokered no argument. Theodore obeyed, his eyes never leaving the staff as it grew taller, extending from the chair like a living branch. The moment the orb made contact with the velvet, the vibrations grew louder, swirling around them. The air in the chamber grew electric, crackling with the energy of unseen forces. Arafa's gaze never left the orb, her expression unreadable. "Now tell me, what do you know of the Seers' orb?" she began, her voice a low rumble. Theodore swallowed, his grip on the orb tightening as he placed it in the velvet cradle of the staff. "Only what the tales of the ancients have told us," he replied. "It is said to be a tool of great power, granting its wielder visions of distant lands and futures unseen. A gift from the earth herself, to guide her children through the tumultuous paths of time." Arafa took the staff with a grace that belied its weight, her eyes fixed on the pulsing light of the orb. She sat back upright in her chair, the staff coming to rest in her lap like a sleeping dragon. "Yes, the tales," she said, her tone now one of mild amusement. "They do love to spin their yarns, don't they?" With a dismissive wave of her hand, she continued, "The Seer's orb is indeed one of power, but not in the way your village has come to believe." Her gaze pierced Theodore as she spoke, ensuring he was fully engaged. "What you hold in your hand," she began, pausing for dramatic effect, "is but a small piece of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that, when complete, could shake the very foundation of the world. This orb is one of 6, each the size of a fistful of harvest moon, scattered across the lands, and each connected to a great stone." Theodore leaned in, his curiosity piqued. "But what is this puzzle?" he asked, the anticipation in his voice palpable. Arafa took a deep, deliberate breath before speaking. "The orbs are the eyes of the Guild of Cartographers of the Infinite," she revealed, "a secretive order dedicated to the preservation and interpretation of the world's most sacred and hidden locations. The one you hold is but a fragment of the cartographer's legacy, a collection of 10 sets of 6 orbs, and each set connected to a larger central stone of its own, each set scattered evenly across all the lands." She paused, allowing the gravity of her words to sink in. "The Grand Seer of the Guild selects a worthy member to safeguard and deploy the smaller orbs. They are the eyes, young Theodore, while the large orb is the mind that sees through them." Theodore's eyes grew wide, his heart pounding in his chest as he took in this revelation. "And what is the purpose of these orbs?" The Grand Elder chuckled. "Ah, the purpose," she said, stroking the orb with a gentle touch. "The purpose is to map the uncharted, to document the forces of the earth itself, to ensure that the balance between the seen and unseen is maintained." Theodore leaned in, with a perturbed expression etched on his face. "But why?" he hushed. "Why, young cartographer, is a question that has echoed through the ages," her voice a gentle chide. "The Guild of the Cartographers of the Infinite was formed when our world was young, when the very fabric of society was still being shaped by the wisdom of the ancients. Their role is to map the ever-changing tapestry of our world, to locate and map the stars of our cosmos, to ensure that no secret, no treasure, no danger remains hidden from those who would seek to wield its power for good or ill." Theodore felt a cold shiver run down his spine. "But what of my daughter?" he asked, his voice a trembling murmur. "What does this mean for her?" Arafa's smile grew more enigmatic as she spoke. "Your daughter, young and untrained, has been granted a great gift, her eyes still fixed on the pulsing orb. But with great power comes great responsibility and even greater danger." Theodore felt his chest tighten. "Danger?" he repeated. "Ah, the sweet nectar of anticipation," Arafa posited. "The Guild of the Cartographers of the Infinite is not one to be trifled with, young Theodore. They are guardians of the world's secrets, and they are as protective of them as a mother bear of her cubs. Protective? What do you mean? His question incisive. Yes, the words of the ancients, Arafa mused, her eyes flicking up to meet his. They speak in riddles, don't they? She took a sip from a cup of amber liquid that seemed to glow with the light of the sun above, her movements deliberate and precise. The guild of the cartographers of the infinite are not unlike the leaves on the tree of life, she continued, falling where they may, revealing their secrets to those who are ready to hear. Setting the cup down with a soft clink, Theodore leaned in. His eyes narrowed as he tried to unravel the mystery she laid before him. But what of my daughter? He pressed. Is she in danger? Arafa's smile remained, but her eyes grew serious. Yes, the girl, she said. Your daughter has stumbled upon a relic that has slumbered for millennia, awaiting the touch of one with the seer's blood. She paused, her gaze lingering on the orb. The guild of the cartographers of the infinite would not let such a discovery go unnoticed. Theodore felt his heart quicken. What do they want? Arafa leaned forward. Your daughter has unwittingly stirred the slumber of the ancients, she said. The seer's orb is but a relic of a time long past, yet its power remains undiminished. It was banished centuries ago, considering some were seeking to manipulate the forces of the earth for their own ends. The cartographers of the infinite will want it back, but more than that, they will seek the girl who has awakened its slumber. He felt the gravity of her words sink into his bones. What should I do? He asked. Where can my family go to be safe? The Grand Elder leaned back in her chair, her gaze set on the pulsing orb. You must bring her here. This grove is a bastion of knowledge, a sanctuary for those who seek truth. Here, she will be secure, surrounded by the forces of the earth that will guide and protect her. Theodore felt a heavy weight lift from his shoulders. But what of the danger? The danger, young cartographer, she replied, is as inevitable as the changing seasons. But here, in the embrace of the Grove of Whispers, your daughter will be under the protection of those who understand the abilities she holds within her, from the guild and even their enemies. Theodore's mind raced with questions, his thoughts a swirling maelstrom. But what of the guild's enemies? He asked, the words tumbling out before he could hold them back. What could threaten such a powerful order? Arafa's eyes left the orb, locking onto Theodore with a penetrating gaze. Ah, she said, the dark cartogeologist. The very mention of the name sent a shiver down Theodore's spine. The dark cartogeologist? He echoed, his voice tight with tension. A splinter group. She continued, they were banished centuries ago for seeking to manipulate the forces of the earth for their own ends. They seek the power of the orbs to unmake the very fabric of our reality, to reshape it in their twisted image. Her gaze grew distant, as if seeing the horrors of the past unfold before her. Their influence is vast, born from the darkest corners of the world, where the words of the ancients are twisted and corrupted. But why? He asked softly. Why would they seek to harm the balance? Arafa leaned back and sighed. Greed. The dark cartogeologists believe that by controlling the earth's energies, they can bend the very fabric of reality to their will. They seek to harness the power of the orbs for themselves, to rule over the seen and unseen world with an iron fist. But fear not, young cartographer, she continued. Our ancestors have built this grove to withstand the ravages of time and the darkness that has sought to claim it. Our village is hidden in the embrace of the earth's energies, a secret known only to those whose hearts resonate with the same frequency. Theodore felt a flicker of hope in the face of the daunting revelations. And what of the Grand Elders? He asked. What is their role in this ancient dance of authority and protection? Ah, yes, the Grand Elders. We are the guardians of the grove, the shepherds of wisdom. Our role is to ensure that the delicate balance between the seen and unseen remains untouched, that the songs of the earth are heard, but never silenced. We are the eyes that watch over the cartographers of the infinite, both those who walk in the light and those who dwell in the shadows. We are the guardians of the divine balance. I understand, Theodore said with a solemn nod, his voice firm with resolve. I will bring my daughter Alara to the Whispering Grove. But what of my wife and son? Your family is your hope in these troubled times, she said with a sympathetic tone. But fear not, young cartographer. The dark cartogeologist will be drawn to the power that Alara wields, not to those who stand in her shadow. Theodore's brow furrowed with concern. But what of the Guild of Cartographers of the Infinite? Won't they seek her out, even if she's hidden? The Guild's concern is with the orbs, not the bearers of the seer's blood, Arafa said, as she leaned forward, her gaze meeting his. They are akin to librarians in the Grand Library of the Earth, seeking only to collect and catalog their precious tomes. The fate of those who happen upon them is but a footnote in their grand narrative. But what of Alara? He pressed. If they do not seek her, why must she come here? You see, the girl Alara is the key to unlocking the secrets of the seer's orb. Without her, the orb is but a pretty stone that lights up the room. She leaned back in her chair, her gaze never leaving Theodore. Bring her to us, and she will be taught the ancient ways of the seers. She will learn to control the premonitions that call to her, to navigate the hidden paths of the world with the grace of a leaf on the wind. However, bear this in mind. The dark cartogeologists bear no such reservations as the Guild. If they can't find the orb, it is the new seer, in their mind, who will lead them to this relic. Theodore felt the gravity of her words settle upon him and asked, But what of the dark cartogeologists? They will not rest until they have what they seek. His voice tight with tension. Fear not, young cartographer, she said with an enigmatic smile. For in the embrace of the Whispering Grove, we are unseen, like a zephyr on the sun's beam. The dark cartogeologists may seek, but they shall not find, for our village is shielded by the very forces that guide your daughter's visions. He nodded solemnly, the gravity of his decision etched into the lines of his face. I will do as you say, he said firmly, but what of the coming journey? How can I protect her from those who would do her harm? She rose from her throne, the wooden chair groaning gently as she stood. She moved to a shelf laden with artifacts, her hand lingering over an ornate staff. It was a twin to the one she held, carved from the same living wood, its tip a gleaming crystal that sang with the light of the energetic elements. Take this, she said, her voice a gentle command as she handed it to Theodore. It is a beacon of the grove's protection. Taking the staff, feeling the warmth of the wood resonate through his palm, as if it were alive, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the energy that pulsated within it. I will do as you say, he said, bowing his head slightly in respect. Arafa nodded in approval. Good. Now, young cartographer, descend the staircase, and upon reaching its base, you will find a guardian of our grove. Give him this staff, her voice a gentle command. He will be your guide and protector on the journey back to your village. Go now, for the path from the Whispering Grove is fraught with peril. But fear not, for the staff will guide you. He turned to leave, but Arafa's voice stopped him. Remember, it may be weeks before your daughter can be sent for. Prepare her well for the journey ahead, for you will not be returning with her, and she will tread the path of the seer without her kin. With a final nod to the Grand Elder, he started down the spiral staircase, the wood feeling alive beneath his boots. The doors to the chamber closed behind him, the ancient doors echoing through the grove. Well, Elder Doledric said the moment he saw Theodore, his eyes eager. What words of wisdom did the Grand Elder impart? Theodore took a deep breath, his mind still reeling from the revelations. Too much to take in, he replied, his voice trembling. The Seers' orb is but one piece of a grander puzzle, a tool of the cartographers of the infinite, an order that maps the very fabric of our world. He paused, his gaze distant. They've entrusted its power to my daughter, a burden and a gift wrapped in one enigmatic package. Elder Doledric's eyes widened, the creases around his mouth deepening as he considered the gravity of Theodore's words. And what of the Grand Elder's advice? Theodore took a deep breath as he responded. She spoke of the Whispering Grove, a sanctuary for those with the Seer's blood. We are to bring Alara here, to train her in the ways of the Seer, to prepare her for a destiny she cannot yet fathom. A destiny, you say? Doledric mused, his voice a rich timbre. What sort of destiny could befall our dear village girl? Theodore nodded gravely, the weight of his words resonating through the steps of the stairs. The destiny of a seer, he continued, one who can peer through the veil of reality and glimpse the secrets of the earth. The guardian that awaited him at the base of the stairs was indeed a man of imposing stature, his height rivaling the mighty trees that surrounded the grove. His skin, dark and rich as the soil from which they grew, his eyes a piercing shade of emerald that peered into Theodore's very soul. He took the staff from Theodore's trembling hand with a nod, the crystal tip emitting a gentle hum that resonated with the very air around them. I am Maziba, the guardian said, his voice a deep rumble. Your daughter is indeed special, young cartographer. But fear not, for the light force of the earth shall guide and protect her as they have done for millennia. His name, Theodore knew, was of Masambe origin, a tribe renowned for their wisdom and connection to the land. Theodore looked back up to the top of the stairs, where Arafa still stood, the orb's hum now a crescendo that filled the chamber. Her grand stature was even more pronounced, the staff with the orb that had once towered over him, now at a more comfortable height in her hand. The top of the staff settling at her shoulders, the orb glowing with a fierce, almost sentient light. Remember, Arafa called out to him, the mysteries are fickle, and the paths they weave are complex. Trust in the staff, and it shall guide you true. Maziba's instructions were precise, each word measured and deliberate. He spoke of the journey back to the village, the twists and turns of the hidden paths that only the staff could reveal. He explained the signs to look for, the vibrations of the earth that would guide them safely to Theodore's door. The guardian's eyes never left the crystal at the end of the staff, as if he were listening to a silent symphony that only he could hear. The staff will be your guide, Maziba rumbled, but it is also your shield. When danger draws near, it will sing to you with the voice of the ancients, alerting you to the shadows that lurk beyond our sight. He paused, his gaze locking with Theodore's. Trust in it, as you would a trusted companion, and it will not lead you astray. Theodore nodded, the gravity of the guardian's words etching themselves into his very bones. Fare thee well, Elder Doledric, Theodore called out as he turned to leave, his voice carrying the solemn weight of his newfound responsibility. Doledric, ever the sage, offered a parting piece of wisdom with a twinkle in his eye. Remember, young Theodore, the path to knowledge is fraught with more peril than any map could ever chart. With a knowing nod, he strode away, his robes fluttering in the gentle breeze. Theodore watched him go, the proverb lingering in the air. He turned back to Maziba. Let us not tarry. Time does not wait for the unready. They stepped out into the twilight, the last vestiges of sunlight, kissing the tops of the towering trees. The forest floor was a tapestry of shadows, each one seemingly alive with the energy of the grove. Theodore could feel the energy of this place, the ancient wisdom that hummed beneath his feet and sang through the air. Maziba led the way, his every step sure and deliberate, the staff in his hand a beacon of light in the gathering dark. The crystal at its tip pulsed with a gentle rhythm, guiding them through the tangled underbrush. The guardian spoke little, his directing gestures clear, his eyes and ears tuned to the vibrations that Theodore could not yet hear. Thank you for your time and engagement with this story. Please do comment if you can find the time, as your words can help to shape this book's final product for the better. Oh, and subscribe if you have not yet done so already, so we may grow past 100 views with this chapter, as we strike for the goal of over 10,000 views. I do hope you will lend your ears again next week for the 4th chapter of this novel, Journey from the Whispering Grove.